Jenny hadn't always been like this. There was a time when she was a devoted wife, a caring mother, a woman full of life. She and Bruce had built a modest but happy home where laughter echoed through the walls and love was the foundation. Their daughter, Claudia, was the light of their lives. Bruce worked long hours in construction to provide for them, while Jenny stayed home, making sure Claudia never wanted for anything. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable until the accident. Bruce had been working on a high-rise when the scaffolding collapsed. He fell 12 stories, his body shattering on impact. Jenny received the phone call while making dinner. One moment she was stirring a pot of soup. The next she was staring at the floor, her mind unable to process the words being spoken to her. Something inside her fractured that night, something irreparable. Grief consumed her. At first she went through the motions, planning the funeral, accepting condolences, forcing herself to function for Claudia's sake. But it was a facade. The nights were unbearable. She would sit in the dark, staring at Bruce's empty chair, waiting for him to come home, even though she knew he never would. Sleep was impossible. When she closed her eyes, all she saw was his body, broken, lifeless, blood pooling beneath him. The image haunted her, so she turned to alcohol. At first, it was just a drink before bed, something to dull the edges, but soon one drink turned into 2, then 3, then the whole bottle. By the time Claudia turned 16, Jenny was drinking daily. Claudia had always been closer to her father. Bruce had been the one who helped with homework, who told bedtime stories, who made sure she felt loved. Losing him had been devastating, but unlike her mother, she refused to drown in grief. Instead, she became the responsible one. While Jenny drank herself into oblivion, Claudia cooked, cleaned, and kept the house from falling apart. She paid the bills with what little money Bruce had left behind. She lied to neighbors when they asked about Jenny's absence. She made excuses to her teachers when her mother failed to show up for conferences. But no matter how much Claudia tried to hold things together, she couldn't stop Jenny's descent. It wasn't just alcohol anymore. One evening, Claudia came home to find Jenny slumped on the couch, a syringe lying next to her on the floor. For a terrifying moment, she thought her mother was dead. She screamed, shaking her, trying to wake her up. Finally, Jenny groaned, her pupils nothing more than tiny pinpricks. Claudia choked on her tears. "Mom, what the hell are you doing?" Jenny only laughed, a slow, drunken giggle. "Relax, Babu," she slurred. "It's just a little something to help me feel good." Claudia wanted to call an ambulance, but Jenny grabbed her wrist, her grip surprisingly strong. "If you call anyone," she hissed, "they'll take you away from me. You don't want that, do you?" Claudia hesitated. She had heard the horror stories about foster care, so she stayed silent. And Jenny kept getting worse. Jenny stopped being a mother entirely. She no longer cared about cooking, cleaning, or even acknowledging Claudia's existence. The only things that mattered to her were getting high, getting drunk, and getting laid. Claudia would come home to find strange men in their house. Men who lingered too long when they looked at her, their smirks sending ice down her spine. She hated them. But more than anything, she hated Jenny. She hated the way her mother paraded around in revealing clothes, giggling like a girl half her age, pretending life was some endless party. She hated the way Jenny looked through her, as if she were nothing more than an inconvenience. One night, Claudia snapped. Jenny had stumbled in at 3 a.m., reeking of alcohol, her makeup smeared, her dress barely covering her body. Claudia had been waiting, anxiety twisting in her stomach like a knife. "Where the hell were you?" she demanded. Jenny rolled her eyes. "Out." "With who?" Jenny waved a hand dismissively. "Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters," Claudia's voice cracked. "You're my mother. You're supposed to care about me. You're supposed to—" "Oh my God, Claudia, shut up," Jenny groaned. "I don't need a lecture from a damn kid." Claudia's hands clenched into fists. "I'm not a kid anymore, Mom. I had to grow up the moment Dad died because you decided to stop being a mother." Jenny scoffed. "Oh, please, you don't know what it's like to lose the love of your life." "I lost my dad." Jenny turned, her bloodshot eyes narrowing. "And you think that's the same? You think losing a parent is the same as losing your goddamn soulmate?" Claudia's breath caught in her throat. Jenny pointed a shaky finger at her. "You don't know what pain is. You don't know what it's like to wake up every day and feel like you can't breathe because the one person who made life worth living is gone. Claudia swallowed hard. Then why am I still here, Mom? If Dad was the only thing keeping you alive, why did you even have me? For a split second, something flickered in Jenny's eyes. Guilt. But it was gone as quickly as it came. She shook her head. You'll understand when you're older. Claudia felt sick. I hope I never do. Max, Sebastian, and Walter entered Jenny's life around that time. Max was tall and lean, with cold blue eyes and a smile that never reached them. He was the ringleader, always pushing things further, always testing limits. Sebastian was quieter, an observer, his words slow and deliberate, each one laced with malice. Walter was reckless, always drunk, always high, always eager to follow where Max led. They met Jenny in a nightclub. She was wasted, her words slurred, dancing like she was 20 again. Max bought her a drink. One thing led to another, and by the end of the night, all three men had taken her home. She didn't care that they shared her. In fact, she liked it. It was exciting. It was dangerous. It was the ultimate rebellion. And they fed her worst impulses until there was nothing left of the woman she used to be. They pushed her further, deeper into the abyss. Harder drugs, crueler laughs. They smirked when she neglected Claudia, whispered twisted fantasies in her ear, planting seeds of corruption. And Jenny let them. Claudia knew from the start. She saw it in their eyes, in the way Max's smirk deepened when he first saw her. So you're Jenny's daughter, even prettier than she said. Jenny had laughed like it was a joke, but Claudia knew it wasn't. She started locking her door at night, started carrying a pocket knife, because deep down she knew it was only a matter of time before they crossed the line. It started with a conversation, one of those late-night drug-fueled ramblings Jenny and her boyfriends indulged in. The four of them sprawled across the couch, smoke curling in the air, empty bottles at their feet. Jenny's eyes were glassy, head tilted back, giggling at something Walter had said. Max took a slow drag from his cigarette, exhaling before turning to Sebastian with a grin. You know, Max said, voice deliberate, almost lazy, we've done it all. Every game, every fantasy. Sebastian smirked. So what's next? Max leaned in, his tone conspiratorial. Something different. What if Jenny shares Claudia with us? The room went still. Walter blinked, his drunken mind lagging. Sebastian tilted his head, waiting. Jenny seemed to sober up for a moment, frowning at Max. What? Max grinned. Come on, you keep saying she's grown now, 18, a woman. Sebastian chuckled darkly. She's got her mother's looks too. Jenny hesitated, fingers twitching against her glass. I don't know, Max. That's my daughter. Max wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her in. It's just a thought, babe. We share everything else, don't we? Besides, it's not like we'd do anything she didn't enjoy. Jenny swallowed, the drugs blurring the last shreds of maternal instinct she had left. Walter laughed. Imagine the rush, Jenny. No one else has the guts. Sebastian leaned in. You love pushing limits. Isn't this the ultimate test? Max kissed her neck. Think about it. And she did. She tried to push it away at first. Claudia was her daughter, the only person who still called her mom like it meant something. But then Max whispered in her ear. Sebastian smirked, Walter teased, and the idea no longer seemed unthinkable. She's 18, Jenny reasoned. She'll learn about these things eventually. The justifications piled up, burying whatever motherly instinct she had left. Then the night came. Claudia woke to the sound of her bedroom door creaking open. In the dim hallway glow, she saw the Sato standing in the doorway. Mom? Jenny stepped inside, closing the door behind her. Babu, she murmured, using the childhood nickname. Wake up, sweetheart. Claudia rubbed her eyes. Something felt wrong. Jenny's voice was too soft, too rehearsed. What's wrong? Jenny sat on the edge of the bed, brushing Claudia's hair back. I need to talk to you. Claudia's stomach tightened. Now? Jenny nodded. You're 18 now, honey, a woman. Claudia blinked. Okay. Jenny exhaled shakily. There are things about adulthood, things I never really got to teach you. Claudia frowned. What are you talking about? Before Jenny could answer, the door creaked open again. Max, then Sebastian, then Walter. All three entered the room, their eyes gleaming with something dark. Claudia's breath hitched. Mom? Jenny reached for her hand. Babu, don't be scared. You'll have fun tonight. Claudia froze. What? Max chuckled. Your mom gave us permission. Then they moved, three grown men lunging at her at once. Claudia screamed, thrashing, kicking wildly, but they were too strong. Hands seized her wrists, pinned her down. Laughter filled the room, and Jenny just sat there, watching. Claudia fought. She bit, scratched, kicked, anything to get them off her. But their weight, their reeking breath, their laughter, it was suffocating. Then she saw it, the knife, a small kitchen knife forgotten on her nightstand. She had brought it up days ago just in case. Her fingers twitched toward it. Sebastian's hand clamped around her throat. Relax, sweetheart. Her fingers closed around the handle, and she lunged. The blade sank into Sebastian's throat. The world exploded into chaos. Sebastian gurgled, eyes wide, blood pouring. Claudia didn't stop. She yanked the knife free and slashed wildly. Max staggered back, screaming as the blade tore across his cheek. Walter stumbled, his drunken reflexes failing him. She kept going, over and over, stabbing, slashing, screaming. She didn't think, didn't hesitate. By the time she stopped, all three men lay twitching, drowning in their own blood. Her chest heaved, her hands were slick and warm. Then she turned. Jenny still sat on the bed, pale, stunned. Claudia stared at her. You let them. Jenny's lips trembled. You let them. Claudia's voice rose, shaking with fury. Tears welled in Jenny's eyes. Babu, I was high. I wasn't thinking. Claudia gripped the knife tighter. You deserve to die. Jenny's breath caught. No. Claudia lunged. The knife plunged into Jenny's stomach. She gasped, clutching the wound. Claudia yanked it free, stabbed again, and again, and again. Jenny choked on her own sobs. I'm sorry, she whimpered. I'm so sorry. Claudia didn't stop until Jenny's body fell limp, her lifeless eyes staring at nothing. And then the rage disappeared. Reality came crashing down, sharp and unforgiving. Claudia staggered back, the knife slipping from her fingers. She looked at the carnage around her, the bodies, the blood, the horror of what she had done. Then she began to scream. The room was silent except for Claudia's ragged breathing. The air was thick with the metallic scent of blood, a smell she had never encountered so strongly before. It clung to her skin, soaked through her clothes, smeared across her face. She looked down at her mother's body, lifeless, eyes frozen open, lips slightly parted as if caught in her final plea for mercy. Her hands trembled as she stepped backward, tripping over Walter's corpse. She gasped, scrambling away, her legs weak beneath her. Her mind spun, the weight of her actions pressing down on her chest like a boulder. They were dead. All of them. Max, Sebastian, Walter, and her mother. A single moment of rage had turned her into something else, something unrecognizable. She had spent years feeling powerless, watching as her mother drowned in addiction, as strange men came and went, as her own existence became an afterthought in Jenny's spiral of self-destruction. And now it was over, but the cost was unimaginable. Her fingers twitched, still sticky with blood. The knife lay at her feet, glistening under the dim light. She could still hear the echoes of their screams, the way their bodies jerked as she stabbed, the sickening sound of flesh tearing under the blade. Her knees buckled, and she collapsed onto the floor. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. She didn't know how long she sat there unmoving, numb. Then the silence was broken. Sirens in the distance. Someone had heard her screams. Claudia's breath hitched. Her head jerked toward the door as the realization hit her. She had two choices, run or stay. Her fingers twitched toward the knife. Could she clean it? Could she make it look like a break-in? Could she disappear into the night and leave this nightmare behind? No, she was covered in blood. There was no way to hide this. She thought of her father, of Bruce. If he had been here, he would have protected her. If he had been here, none of this would have happened. But he wasn't, and now she had to face the consequences alone. Swallowing hard, she forced herself to move. Her legs felt like lead as she stumbled toward the nightstand where her phone lay. Her fingers fumbled as she dialed 911. When the operator answered, her voice was hoarse. "I killed them," she whispered. A pause. "Miss, can you repeat that?" Claudia closed her eyes. "I killed them. My mother, her boyfriends. They tried to." Her voice broke. "I need help." The operator's voice was calm, professional. "Stay on the line. Officers are on their way. Are you injured?" Claudia looked down at herself. Blood everywhere, but none of it was hers. "No." "Okay, stay where you are." She hung up before they could say anything else. Then she waited. The sirens grew louder, flashing red and blue lights flooding the street. The front door burst open, officers storming in with guns drawn. "Drop the weapon!" Claudia didn't resist. She remained on the floor, her body numb, her mind detached. "I don't have it anymore." An officer grabbed her arms, yanking them behind her back. Cold steel cuffs snapped around her wrists. Another officer examined her quickly. "Are you hurt?" Claudia shook her head. "No." The officers moved past her, their boots squelching against the blood-soaked carpet. She heard someone swear under their breath. "Jesus Christ," one muttered. "Looks like a goddamn slaughterhouse." Paramedics arrived shortly after. Claudia stood still, head lowered, as they pronounced each victim dead at the scene. Jenny, Max, Sebastian, Walter, a body bag for each of them. The officers led Claudia outside, shoving her into the back of a squad car. The cold leather pressed against her blood-soaked skin. As the door slammed shut, she caught a glimpse of the neighbors gathered outside, their faces filled with horror and curiosity. Mrs. Hendricks, the elderly woman from next door, clutched her robe tightly. Mr. Evans, who had once helped fix their fence, shook his head in disbelief. She had lived in this neighborhood her whole life. Now she would never set foot in it again. The media erupted. Teenage girl butchers, mother and 3 men in gruesome massacre. Was it self-defense or cold-blooded murder? The prosecution painted Claudia as a ticking time bomb, a girl who had finally snapped after years of resentment toward her mother. They argued she had planned the murders, that she could have run, that she didn't have to kill all of them. The defense told a different story. Claudia was a victim, a girl betrayed in the worst possible way by the one person meant to protect her. Her lawyer detailed years of neglect, of Jenny's spiraling addiction, of the abuse brewing beneath the surface. Then, the final night, they played the 911 call. The jury listened to Claudia's broken voice confessing, not as a murderer, but as a shattered girl who had fought for her life. Psychologists testified about trauma, about how the brain reacts under extreme duress. The jury deliberated for 3 days. When they returned, the courtroom was silent. The judge looked at Claudia, then at the jury foreman. The verdict? Manslaughter, not murder. The judge sentenced her to 10 years in a juvenile detention center with the possibility of parole after 5. Some called it a light sentence. Others called it justice. Claudia didn't call it anything. Prison wasn't easy, but it was better than home. For the first time in her life, Claudia had a routine. Structure. She kept to herself, avoided trouble, did what she was told. At night, she dreamed of her father. Sometimes she dreamed of her mother, too. In those dreams, Jenny wasn't a monster. She was just mom, the way she had been before the drugs, before the men, before everything went wrong. And every time, Claudia woke up with tears in her eyes. Years passed. She was granted parole at 23. When Claudia stepped out of the prison gates, the world felt alien. The sky stretched endlessly above her, an unsettling shade of blue she had almost forgotten. The sun was too bright, the air too crisp, the sounds of traffic, of birds, of distant laughter, all of it was noise clawing at the silence she had grown used to. 5 years in confinement, 5 years where time stood still inside cold gray walls, while the world outside kept moving without her. The clothes she wore had been given to her by a prison charity, a simple pair of jeans and a t-shirt that didn't quite fit. She had no home to return to, no family waiting. Her mother was dead. Her father had been gone long before that. She was alone. The prison's social worker had arranged for a halfway house, a temporary solution, a place to stay until she found her footing. But Claudia knew better than to believe in fresh starts. Society had a long memory. She wasn't just an ex-convict. She was the girl who had murdered her mother and 3 men. The world knew her story. It had been sensationalized, dissected, debated. Every article, every talk show, every documentary had painted her as something different. A monster, a victim, a cautionary tale. But no one saw her for what she truly was. For the first few months after her release, Claudia barely spoke to anyone. The halfway house provided a bed, but it didn't erase the nightmares. Every night she still saw their faces. Max, Sebastian, Walter, laughing, drunk, high, their eyes dark with twisted hunger. Then came the screams, the blood, the knife in her hands, and worst of all, Jenny. Not the woman she had killed, but the mother she had once loved. The mother who had braided her hair, tucked her in at night, whispered that she was her little angel. That mother was long gone, but sometimes in her dreams, she still appeared. Claudia would wake up shaking, drenched in sweat, her fingers gripping the sheets like they were still wrapped around the knife. Jenny's ghost wasn't real, but the guilt was. No matter how justified, no matter how much Jenny had betrayed her, she had still killed her own mother. And that truth could never be erased. Finding work was nearly impossible. Employers recognized her name, her face. They took one look at her and shook their heads. Not a good fit for this position. We're looking for someone with a different background. We'll call you. They never did. She tried changing her name. It didn't matter. Someone always recognized her. The internet never forgets, and neither do people. After months of rejection, she settled for the only work she could find, cleaning night shifts at a local diner. It wasn't much, but it paid for a cheap motel room once she was allowed to leave the halfway house. Some days she ate nothing but instant noodles. Some days she wondered if she had ever really left prison at all. Despite everything, Claudia tried to rebuild herself. She started therapy, though talking about the past felt impossible. Her therapist, Dr. Monroe, never pushed. Claudia barely spoke for weeks. Then one day she broke. She cried until she couldn't breathe, sobbing out everything, the pain, the rage, the betrayal, the loneliness. Dr. Monroe just listened. And for the first time, someone didn't look at her with judgment. Someone saw the broken girl beneath the headlines. Therapy became a lifeline. She learned about trauma, about the way the brain reacts under extreme circumstances, about survivor's guilt, about self-forgiveness, though she wasn't sure she would ever truly forgive herself. But she was trying, and that had to count for something. Years passed. Claudia moved to a new city, one where fewer people knew her name. She saved enough to rent a tiny apartment, just a single room with a mattress on the floor. But it was hers. She found work at a shelter for abused women. At first, they were hesitant to hire her. "We know your story," the manager had said. Claudia had braced for rejection. But then the woman had looked at her with something unexpected. Understanding. "We've had women who survived things most people can't imagine," she continued. "You're one of them. Maybe you can help others survive too." For the first time in her life, Claudia had a purpose. She listened to the stories of women who had escaped abusive homes. In their pain, she saw reflections of herself. Some days were hard. Some nights, she still woke up screaming. But she wasn't the scared, broken girl who had once stood in that blood-soaked bedroom. She was more than what had happened to her, more than what she had done. On the anniversary of that night, Claudia sat alone in her apartment, staring at a blank piece of paper. Then, she started writing. "Mom, I don't know why I'm doing this. You're not here, you'll never read this, but I have things I need to say. I miss you. I miss the mother you used to be. I hate you for what you became. I hate you for what you did to me. But I hate myself more for what I did to you. Sometimes I wonder, if you had never lost Dad, would things have been different? Would you have stayed the mother I loved? Would we have been happy? I'll never know. I hope wherever you are, you found peace. I hope you're the person you used to be again. I hope you know that even after everything, I still loved you. And I hope one day I can forgive myself." She folded the letter, placed it in an envelope, and tucked it away in a box with her few possessions. She would never send it, But somehow, writing it felt like a step forward. Claudia knew she would never escape her past completely. She would always carry the scars, the memories, the nightmares. But she was still here, still breathing. And for the first time in her life, she was in control. Maybe she would never be able to wash away the blood on her hands, but she could choose what to do with them now. And that choice, however small, was enough to keep going. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more disturbing true crime stories. Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.